1-2. Πέτρος.
1-2-3-4-5-6-7. 1-2-3-4-5. 1-2-3. 1-2-3-4-5-6-7-8. Α. Τα κόλλησαν τώρα.
Ja, oké. Dat kan maar niet. Ez egy sokkoló, hogy van? Ugye hogy látom. De belt. Oké.
Yep. I do live here, yes.
How long?
I came out in 1975
75, right after the...
with the yes, I can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can you hear me? You're testing my mic, I think, so I'll keep speaking until you tell me to shut up. Is that all right? All right.
Ένα, δύο.
Okay.
We can see further. If there are more chairs, we can make it into
Oh my God.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
I have my watch here, so you can see the time, but it's about Central European time, so it's a...
Oh, that'll confuse me completely.
Okay, so...
Could you please announce that the Turkish secret interpreters had an accident? We've called a new one. They will be here in 5 minutes maximum.
Okay.
And just to let them know, because they might be wondering why there's no interpretation in Turkish.
Okay. But you would tell me when you want me to start.
Okay, as soon as they settle in,
Okay.
we can start.
Is it too cold? Have a seat. I mean, is it too... Sit on your jumper.
Yeah, it's great.
You sit on the floor, make yourselves comfortable. Yeah, but if they... No, it's fine if you want to. It's just if it's cold. But, I mean, if you take your jacket off
I can
and
offer
sit...
you...
Oh, they're bringing cushions. There you go. Ah! Perfect. Here we go. Make yourselves comfortable, everybody. Okay? No numb bums. Okay? This is brilliant. Turkish, but at the moment, unfortunately, the Turkish interpreter had an accident and a new one is on his or her way and should be here within 5 minutes. So please, for Forgive us if we start, because the Commissioner obviously is pushed for time, and as soon as I'm sure somebody will wave when the Turkish interpreter arrives and you can hear it in Turkish. So let me just tell you, this is the 70th Citizens' Dialogue that has happened this year. And if you're in the next room, or if for some reason you feel shy about asking questions, you can hit the telephone on Twitter, #EU Dialogues, and it'll pop up, and we'll be taking some questions from there as well. But I think that's enough from me. I would ask the Commissioner just to say a few words, because the important part of this is for your voice to be heard. Commissioner.
Yes, exactly. Good morning, everybody. It's my honor to be here. It's really a historic place for me, and you're a historic generation. I think that's why I'm here, because I'm responsible for education, culture, youth and sport in the European Commission. As we put it, usually this is a future portfolio, and I think that this is really a future portfolio, because you are the future. Education is the most important activity in this age for you, and culture and sports can help you, and you can help us to build communities,
Citizens, do you feel that your voice down here in Cyprus is being heard? Yes? No? Come on. We need discussion here. We need participation. Who feels that their voice is heard? Oh dear. Who feels that their voice isn't heard? Oh. We have, let me just say, we do now have the Turkish interpretation. That's a little bit worrying, Commissioner, that so many people don't feel that they matter in Brussels.
That's why I'm here, because our aim with the Citizens' Dialogue is to establish direct contacts with the European citizens. We live and work in Brussels representing European institutions, but of course those European institutions are based on you, on your activities, on your faith, and on your belief in Europe. So please tell me, or tell us, why do you think that your voice is not heard here in Cyprus or in Europe?
Maybe we could ask somebody. We need someone to be brave and be the first person to stand up and say something. How do you think things could be improved so that your voices were heard in Brussels? Has anybody got a suggestion? Yes.
Hello, my name is Cassandra. Well, I've been fortunate enough to be able to participate in different activities that the Cyprus government, that are under, let's say, the Cyprus government. For example, the Cyprus Children's Parliament. I've been lucky enough to be the president of the Cyprus Children's Parliament for Nicosia for the last 2 years. And of children is very important. But at the same time, there isn't a specific place or a specific activity or something that actually does give children and the youth the voice.
Let me then ask the Commissioner to tell us straight away, I don't know if we're going ahead of ourselves, about the European Solidarity Corps. Sounds like exactly what this young lady needs.
Yeah, but before that, let me ask, have you tried internet and European portals, for instance, with Portal for Youth Portal, European Youth Portal?
Yes, as I said, I am, let's say, one of the exceptions that knows some opportunities that the youth has to participate in lots of activities that have to do with politics or with cultural events, etc. But the issue is that, unfortunately, the people that are
youth portal for the applications for volunteering activities of the European Solidarity Corps, you might have the opportunity to take part on volunteering actions throughout the EU, everywhere where there is a crisis situation, emergency situation, when you can show your solidarity. The period of volunteering will be from 2 up to 12 months, so it's quite a long period of time, and you can get skills and certificates acknowledging those skills. We launched it, the portal. We launched the portal last week, and now we have more than 10,000 applicants to the European Solidarity Corps. The first action will be probably in late spring or early summer. If you are between 17 and 30, because those are the time limits, and unfortunately I think you're younger still, but you can plan prospectively the application to the European Solidarity Corps, because it will be an important initiative of the European values.
Indeed, we acknowledge the importance of and the value of volunteering. But as I said, maybe we are representing the ages that are almost 18 and above. So what about the rest, 18 years and under? I mean, obviously, you cannot ask a 1-year-old to do something.
Sport in education as well, specifically aimed at social inclusion, for instance, because there are people, there are children who had no voice because of the bad social background, for instance. So
You've just heard, for example, that the schools in Cyprus are equipping you to find what you need to know about the European Union and the opportunities that are available to you through all of these projects which are scrolling up on here. Are they...
...γραμμάτων που γίνονται. Δεύτερον, να πω ότι εκτός από το Ευρωπαϊκό Κοινοβούλιο και τη Βουλή των Εφήβων, πρέπει να υπάρχουν και άλλες ευκαιρίες για τους νέους, όπως συστηματικά σεμινάρια ή κάποιο είδους πολιτική ενεργητικότητα προς τους νέους. Δεν γίνεται μέσα στα σχολεία να μην υπάρχουν τόσο πολιτικά θέματα, μαθήματα πολιτικής και ηθικής. Ευχαριστώ.
all the important information on our sites, internet sites and portals. For instance, Erasmus Plus or Creative Europe, which is dedicated mostly to cultural cooperation, cultural activities. But in Erasmus Plus, which is not only about students' mobility, traditionally Erasmus programs were about students' mobility, going abroad and studying there in universities. But now it's more than that, and we have our own special education programs. For instance, the e-twinning, which links more than 400,000 teachers across Europe, and it funds special joint projects of schools from different member states. Can help us, for instance, in citizenship education. You can raise it in your school. Let's join the e-twinning scheme, the e-twinning network, and there are projects.
The importance of language is not just, as we can see here, very important in Cyprus because there are Turkish speakers, there are Greek speakers. Yes. English also tends to be the lingua franca, which is why we're doing it, I think, in English today. But language can play a huge part in the whole of your portfolio, can't it, to bring people together?
Yes, so we have, again, in Erasmus Plus, we have special projects funding language courses, online language courses. And again, I would encourage you to use those opportunities. We're just thinking how to help the reunification process here in Cyprus with language teaching. I just saw the data of Erasmus students from Cyprus, and I was astonished that the top 5 favorite destinations of the Cypriot students are in Greece. So you really like to use your mother tongue, but Erasmus is about more than using the mother tongue. So let's open up the opportunities and learn more foreign languages and use those languages.
We have a question at the back, and then we'll come to you. Perhaps take 2.
Good morning. My name is Kyriaki, and I represent the Erasmus Student Network in Cyprus. I would like to comment on 2 things you said. The last one about Greece. So, as a volunteer at the Erasmus Student Network, we are trying very hard to help the Cypriot students break out of their comfort zone and the stereotypes of let's not do our Erasmus in Greece, let's go abroad and meet new people. And the second thing I would like to comment is that because I am an education student and had the chance to work in Cypriot schools, when it comes to the question of having an European program,
there's no motivation, money worth nothing, because it's only the motivated people who can help on the future. And on the other hand, next year we will celebrate the 30th anniversary of Erasmus program. That's a very good opportunity to promote the idea of Erasmus Plus. Not only students' mobility, that's the most attractive and most popular part of Erasmus Plus. But Erasmus Plus, it's about building and developing communities. I think that's the optimal place for giving new dimensions for Erasmus Plus here in Cyprus. So let's celebrate together and let's promote the idea of Erasmus next year.
The young lady at the front had a question.
Well, our school participates in such programs, Erasmus Plus, and we are thankfully that Europe gives this opportunity to us youngsters. But what I'd like to ask is, why don't you give us the right to vote for our future? Because the political decisions that are taken, mostly the people that vote are older. Are the older ones.
So you want lower threshold for age threshold for voting rights? Wow, that's a big debate.
That's a huge debate.
As far as I know, Austria is the country which lowered the threshold to 16 years old, and that's one of the wishes or demands of the European Youth Forum. So it's not up to me; it's up to the member states to legislate the suffrage, the voting rights. So convince your decision makers to lower the voting rights threshold.
Just before we continue, I think we've got a video question. They're not allowed to play sport in Europe.
Well, at the moment, we have, that's about sport organizations. I mean, there's the scheme of and the regulation of sport organizations. So we have to respect the autonomy of sport organizations. We cannot legislate in sport issues. What we can do is taking voluntary initiatives or voluntary obligations. And if there is a will to include those sport clubs or sports organizations, the European Commission will support. I think it's an aspect of the reunification process. So if there is a progress in reunification, I think in the future there might be no barriers for that.
Okay. I think somebody at the bottom wanted to ask a question.
Teşekkür ederim. Ben Kuzey Kıbrıs'tan katılıyorum. Kıbrıslı Türk'üm, rehber öğretmenim, izci lideriyim, Avrupa vatandaşıyım. Fakat Avrupa Birliği'nin pek çok uygulaması, Erasmus'ta dahil, sınırın yarısına kadar, yani kuzeyde pek bir şey göremiyoruz. Daha fazla katılım olmasını istiyoruz. Fakat Avrupa Birliği'ne sesimizi duyurmakta zorlanıyoruz. Bizim sıkıntımız bu. Teşekkür ederim.
Can I just, I think some of the youngsters...
Only for EU member states, but we have some other countries joined Erasmus+. So we build up a good partnership with countries. For instance, Turkey takes part in Erasmus+. Cyprus takes part in Erasmus+. So that's why I think we need a reunification to solve those problems which are unsolvable at the moment. And I'm optimistic that I saw a lot of goodwill, mutual goodwill from both communities, and I hope that you can tackle all the challenges and all the difficulties, and the island will be reunified.
Could we perhaps move on now to employment. We have a huge youth unemployment problem, I think, from both sides in Cyprus. And as you're approaching school leaving age and possibly continuing to tertiary education, you'll be looking at what employment opportunities there will be when you finish. So perhaps we could open it up onto this. Commissioner, for example, do we have young people who are aware of the skills that are going to be required in 5-10 years' time when they join the employment market that will get them jobs? Or are they studying the wrong things? You know, we need to match up the abilities with the openings, don't we?
Yes, I think that's the biggest and probably the most sensitive problem of European youth policy, because regardless of geography, a program for member states about the directions and future perspectives of the development of education and labor market, and what we emphasize in the skills agenda, just because it is very difficult to predict future skills. We need a broader category of skills. We need more horizontal skills. We need the so-called social skills to be educated, entrepreneurship or digital skills, or those social skills which can help you be an active and responsible citizen in your community, in your society. And the next phase will be the implementation of the skills agenda, the national plans, the national implementation plans, and I hope that those social skills, those soft skills, as the British put it, probably really make a difference in education systems, and in 5 or 10 years, you and the future generations will be more employable than the young unemployed people now.
So, do we have some reaction to this?
Yes.
Some years ago, the ordinance of the working week was established, and this ordinance has stopped 3 years ago. Students had the opportunity to work for 1 week in order to ascertain if they want to follow this job or not. From your point of view, what's your opinion about this? I mean, we have to see if we want to follow this job, because actually when a student managed to pass all the exams and go to the university that eventually wants, the job that actually was what he wanted.
We increased the funding scheme of the youth guarantee by 2 billion euros in the upcoming 4 years. So there might be more opportunities for funding traineeship or apprenticeship posts or jobs. But on the other hand, there is a fast-changing environment on the labor market, and it's very difficult to aim at a certain skill and use it throughout our lifetime. So I think what we have to do is to get accustomed to the lifelong learning and even more flexible forms of education. Because the job you found during your university years or your higher education years might be disappeared while you were studying. So we have to be more skills-oriented, more flexible in educating ourselves and in finding jobs. That's why I think we need social skills, because social skills are about the development of personality. If you have well-developed social skills, you are good at expressing your opinion, your emotions, you can work in team, you can reach consensus, and so on and so forth. So you are strong, you are powerful personality. Technical skills are not a big deal. I mean, you can pick up in volunteering, in traineeship, in everywhere. And you can change those technical skills very easily. For instance, linguistic skills. We have a data that those people who are taking part in Erasmus Plus programs, go abroad, study there in another member state, in another language, got easier job and 100,000 apprenticeships, mobility funded places in Erasmus Plus, and we would like to broaden it. I mean, in longer periods and for broader group of people in the future.
And let me just also say that here in Cyprus, the chambers of commerce on both sides also have, and I know this because I talked to them about it yesterday, until January the 5th, you can apply for internships working in a company in the other community. And that is also an EU-funded program.
Hello, my name is Nicolas, and I'm the Secretary General of Cyprus Youth Council. My question is the same with my friend Nadia Garayani from the National Youth Board, and it's about the Youth Guarantee. In 2013, the Youth Guarantee was presented as the solution of youth unemployment, and after 2 years that the program exists, we are still facing many problems. And and my question is, what are the updates about the program? And before a month, we heard that in European level, too many political parties in European Parliament, they want to cut the program.
The Youth Guarantee?
Yeah.
Well, there are problems in certain member states, but I would say that generally it is a quite successful program. That's why we increased the amount of money by 2 billion euros. However, I think the core of the problems are not in funding, but it's in the relationship between. But if there is no cooperation, there is no dialogue between education and business, the whole cooperation will be poor and a poor quality. So those countries where the youth guarantees perform less or poorly cannot show up strong and close cooperation between business and education. And it's a difficult exercise, I know, to develop those channels and contexts, but it's must do. Yeah.
Was it someone at the back first, I think? Someone else.
Okay, yes, it's hard to keep an eye.
So now with the refugee crisis, many children come from other countries that are not EU members, like Syria. How will the EU help them adjust in the school environment and later adjust smoothly in the society? Thank you.
We use multiple channels for funding and helping those countries who are facing the refugee crisis. First, obviously, is Erasmus Plus, because it's about children, it's about education, it's about youth. We fund, as I just mentioned, language courses, online language courses, and we fund sports activities, for instance, in grassroots sports clubs for activities of social inclusion, because sports and culture are the easiest way to include the newly arrived refugees or migrants. You don't have to speak the official language of the country, but you can play football, or you can make a piece of art or something. So that's why we fund cultural and sports activities for social inclusion, and on the other hand, we developed special projects for online language without any control, without any registration, and of course without educational background. And we have to identify them, we have to find them, and we have to channel them into formal education of the given countries. Germany, Sweden made huge efforts in this field, and we help them financially as well.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Commissioner. I speak to you as the National Contact Point and Program Committee member for Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions, ERC, and various other programs. I'd like to go back to what Nicholas and the young lady at the corner said. Of course, your answer was very much welcome, and we know already you have a new agenda for skills and jobs that came up in June 2016. But the main issue here is the coupling of business and education, the showcasing, especially to the younger generations entering now the higher education system, of how jobs really feel, look like, what the young lady mentioned, and of course all the things related to skills. So are we bringing this in, or are you as the Commission bringing this in the preparations for the new modernization of higher education agenda that you're...
Yes, definitely.
Are we coupling it with a new skills agenda, and are we bringing all those elements into the modernization of higher education?
Yes,
Thank
definitely, definitely. We are mapping up the solutions and the opportunities for bringing together business, academia, research. Yes, and we have a dedicated institution for doing that. That's the European Institute for Innovation and Technology, the EIT. EIT has the so-called knowledge and innovation communities, which are the sites or the hubs of or the meeting points of.
Μορφωμένη. Θα ήθελα να εκφράσω την αγανάκτησή μου για το εν μέρει απολυταρχικό εκπαιδευτικό σύστημα που επικρατεί στην Κύπρο. Ο Υπουργός Παιδείας και Πολιτισμού πέρσι, εντός λίγων ημερών, προέβησε ριζικές μεταρρυθμίσεις στο εκπαιδευτικό σύστημα χωρίς να μας ρωτήσει, υποστηρίζοντας πως αυτές θα ήταν για τον εξυγχρονισμό του εκπαιδευτικού συστήματος μας. Προσωπικά θεωρώ πως κάθε άλλον παρά για τον εξυγχρονισμό ήταν, καθώς δεν υποστηρίζει τον πολιτισμό, δεν μας δίνει ουσιαστικά την ευκαιρία να μάθουμε ξένες γλώσσες, να γνωρίσουμε τον πολιτισμό μας αλλά και τον πολιτισμό άλλων χωρών. Αυτά.
You've met the Minister of Education this morning, or yesterday, I believe, Commissioner. And
actually, I'm in a delicate situation because he's a friend of mine.
But apart from that, can I just also, as part of that, bring up the fact that I think one of the things you discussed with the Minister was going to be this PISA report, which shows that spending on education in Cyprus has gone down, although we're still above the EU average, which is great. But the results that we're getting for the percentage of GDP that we spend on education are frankly not good. And that is the future of all the people in this room, really.
Yeah, and you're right. I think every education minister in Europe now in a very difficult situation, because there are data that European education systems go in a wrong direction. And there are less and less money for education, and this is a problem. And I wouldn't say that the European Commission is absolute innocent in those problems, because, for instance, in Cyprus, in the past 3-4 years, it was the European Commission and the Troika who urged the government of Cyprus to cut social spending, including education, unfortunately. So what we have to do at European level and at member states level is to identify our goals in the future. I try to convince my fellow commissioners, you have to convince your fellow Europeans, and the education ministers have to convince their fellow ministers, above all finance ministers and prime ministers, to spend more wisely, but to spend more on education. Because that's the problem of the European education systems, that we are lagging behind compared to other regions in the world, for instance, China or South Africa or New Zealand or the United States of America. They spend more on education. And that's why there is a huge pressure on the European education systems. PISA reports shows poorer performances than it was previously.
Who's in hospital at the moment. So I've got a statement for you in regards to a school that was issued a criminal charge a year ago for closure by the Minister of Education, Mr. Gadis himself, December of 2015, and again on January of 2016. The school is still practicing, still running its business, has no licensing, has no current insurance, no electrical safety. There's 200 kids there, some of them EU parents, UN parents, diplomats. I'm just hitting on the point of governance of schools, safety of schools, safety of our children. I have 2 young children now, and I wouldn't send them there, even though it's a choice. But safety of schools is my point. The Ministry of Interior, like I said, have issued a closure for the school. Okay. What happens in this effect is that it's passed on to the police and the Attorney General, and they have not acted on this. We have.
Safety in schools is your point.
Private school. My point is that yesterday I sent a statement reflecting our position that if anything does happen in the school, we do not wish to take any responsibility, and we hand all responsibility to the owners of the school and to the Ministry of Education.
Yes, okay, but what are you hoping that the Commission is going to do?
I'm hoping that the Ministry of Interior will start backing up EU law and start protecting our kids and start governing some of the schools that may not be safe for our kids to attend.
Okay, all right.
Okay. And may I hand over a statement? Is that okay?
No. We're short of time.
Okay.
The Commissioner's only got, I think, another 10-15 minutes, and under there I've got questions.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, on the left there as well.
That you're lucky enough to pass the exam and have education there in the European standards. And these standards are the standards that UK wants us to learn. So, I decided to have music education, and I have friends who wanted to have art education. Anyway, and what I did was learning physics for years and taking A-levels for physics. And then what happened? I showed them to university, and they said, "No, what do you want us? Why do you show us your physics A-levels? Just show us your IGSE. What was it? Yeah. Anyway, so my question is, what is European Commission doing to improve the education in the North Cyprus? And if your answer is going to be peace, then what is European Commission doing to help the peace in Cyprus? Thank you.
Well, I know that my answer of the member states' education policy activities.
Okay. I think there's a question there, and then one. I wasn't looking behind me.
Good morning, Commissioner. My name is Yana Americano. I'm under the MediaSat program of Creative Europe Desk Cyprus. I would like to just slightly shift the dialogue in terms of culture. And it's not really a question, but is rather a concern that I would like really to emphasize and alert you the survival of small countries within the Creative Europe. Especially under media, small countries are really suffering and struggling to be not only competitive, but also to meet the guidelines in terms of submitting an application. And in terms of Cyprus, many of the production companies that we have, due to the new guidelines, it is impossible for them to apply.
And then we'll have some tweaked questions, I think.
I'd like to ask about the European programs that you keep mentioning that are offered to us. You keep mentioning many programs, however, we know nothing about them. Shouldn't there be some information be given for those through school at least?
European
programs?
Yeah, like the Erasmus or the other, all the other programs.
They are a click away.
Yeah,
I mean,
on the internet.
Yeah, however, we don't know. Shall we just check blindly in the internet? Shouldn't there be some information be given from the school?
Well, yes, I should.
Well, yeah.
I mean, the school, this is what we said at the very beginning,
Yeah.
is are our schools implementing programs that prepare the young people of Cyprus for European citizenship and a future in the European labour
there
market.
might be NGOs as well. Yeah, you can find all the information on the internet,
But should
or
the
you can.
schools be pushing this?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
you need to speak to your
And we
friends.
have, and we have special projects for that. The e-twinning, for instance, it's just exactly aims at that objective, that schools join in the network and they can develop common projects in citizenship education, for instance. Yes, definitely. Yes.
Okay, we did say at the very beginning, just a moment please, we did say at the beginning.
For Cyprus. And another question, quite an interesting one, on how are migrants changing the face of EU education and language learning, and how will our schools look in 10 years' time?
Wow, that's a very easy question. I cannot give you a solution for the Cyprus-specific issue of military service and participating in vocational education training, but it must be solved at member state level.
But is it that there's an age limit on VT?
No, I don't think so.
No.
There might be some technical problems.
Okay.
Yeah, I think. Sorry.
So you carry on.
What was the other one? Was it the youth guarantee? Yes. We talked about what's more precisely. What is the question on youth guarantee? Because
What are the updates on the youth guarantee's progress?
well, there will be more money. I think that's a good news, and it's up to the national governments to implement or to initiate new projects for using those financial resources which are at their disposal. Coming from youth guarantee.
Okay, and I think the migrants. Well, I think that was sort of covered. I think earlier. We do have, I think, another video question. Do we not? So there's another. Yes, and then we'll. Yes. Hang on, video question.
My question relates to the recent educational policies being implemented in the EU in light of terrorist attacks in the face of rising Islamophobia throughout the Union.
Yes, I think that's a very important aspect of European education policy, because previously we talked about education policy as a precondition for good employment, but on the other hand, education policy can serve the principle of citizenship and citizenship education, how to become a socially responsible, democratically committed citizen. And the awful terrorist attacks 2 years ago now raised the issue of citizenship education. And that's why we initiated the so-called Paris process in March 2015, which is a process of coordination of the member states' educational activities in citizenship education, exchange of best practices and organizing common projects for member states. And now we are raising the profile of citizenship education. There are some very good results in that. We emphasize the importance of educating democratic values and European values, and I hope that it can strengthen the citizenship education in European education systems.
Okay, so we'll stick with people who haven't.
Has its own homework to do. Obviously, Cyprus also has. But if I can offer an example or a role model. And I did it during our meeting with the minister. It would not be Finland. I know that that's the best known example, but Finland is now declining, just like other EU member states. But Portugal could continuously improve its own performance year by year since 2000 up till now. So I think there must be something which is worth following. And so if if I have to suggest a role model for other member states, I would propose Portugal and not Finland.
Hi, my name is Maria, and what I wanted to say is that teenagers often...
You just hold it close to your mouth.
Like this?
Yep.
Hi, my name is Maria, and what I wanted to say is that teenagers often do not have in mind the very significant skill of knowing at least very more than one language, because this could help them find a job more easily. And in fact, some students do not wish to learn new languages because they believe that it's...
As teenagers, we are asked to choose a job at the age of 17, and it's extremely difficult for us to know what we are going to do for the rest of our lives. So this leads to my point. Unemployment is a huge problem. I wanted to ask you if is something being done to fight this problem. Can the European Union guarantee that we won't end up unemployed? I mean, we're trying to be optimistic, but when thinking about the future, all we get is a feeling of uncertainty. And also, there are no jobs in Cyprus, and teenagers no longer want to stay here because of this. So can something be done to solve this problem of unemployment? Thank you.
Well, unfortunately, the EU cannot guarantee job for you, but we are planning to introduce entrepreneurial skills in education systems in a way that every pupil or student has to have at least one entrepreneurial experience. I mean, setting up a business or try to set up a business, try to set up an autonomous life before they leave in the school, because the overall ratio or proportionality of entrepreneurship in European societies are much lower than in the United States or in Asia. So we are simply not willing to be entrepreneurs, and that's a problem, because if you...
One from the back and one from the front. Again, people who haven't spoken yet, because I think we're getting a little short of time. Keep them short, please, and if it is a question that has already been covered, then just say thank you very much and we'll pass it on, okay?
In the occupied territory of the Republic of Cyprus, we all know that there are strong influences up to the point at which they can be characterized as pressures from a state outside the European Union. What will happen if this continues after the solution, and how will European Union face it?
Sorry, you're talking about the pressures on employment?
No.
No. Hold the mic right up. That's it.
It's not about employment.
Can you speak up?
Yeah, hold it right up to your mouth.
It's not about employment.
Okay. Sorry, say it again then.
Okay. In the occupied territory of the Republic of Cyprus, we all know that there are strong
As I understood, I think that's the reunification process.
Grab the mic. And then, yes, okay.
Επιτρέψτε μου να μιλήσω στα ελληνικά.
Sorry?
Επιτρέψτε μου να μιλήσω στα ελληνικά.
Thank you.
Okay.
Πριν αναφερθήκατε στην Πορτογαλία ως πρότυπο για το εκπαιδευτικό σύστημα, αυτό που ήθελα να ρωτήσω είναι κατά πόσο θεωρείται εφικτή την υιοθέτηση ενός κοινού εκπαιδευτικού προγράμματος σε όλες τις χώρες κράτη-μέλη, προκειμένου να αποφευθούν τα προηγούμενα προβλήματα που αναφερθήκαν.
Very sensitive issue. Probably that's the most sensitive issue, because in most EU member states, and I think it's quite understandable, education is a part of national identity. It's about history, it's about literature, it's about culture, it's about personality, and it's about nationhood. And that's why I think education systems are not unified at European level. So I would be very cautious.
We'll have to call it a day.
Hello, my name is Sophia. So I wanted to ask you what if you criticize the presence of bias inside history books, through of whom clash is cultivated and provided indirectly.
You mean in the national history textbooks?
Yes.
Well, you know, there is the treaty on the functioning of the European Union. That's the fundamental document of the function. And I'm explicitly prohibited to interfere into the content of the national education systems. Sometimes it's very easy to avoid all those conflicts, but sometimes it is very difficult because, of course, we would like to promote a kind of a conception of history which brings together the people and not separate them. But yeah, we can see some.
So, Mr. Youngman?
My name is Valerios and I'm from Greece. And I have a question about the lessons we could do in Europe. So, what would you think if there was a lesson, a mutual lesson all across the schools in Europe?
We can't keep up the existence of the European community if we are not aware of the history, of the tragic losses, the mistakes which made the European integration of the European community necessary. And so, as a long-term plan, I want to convince the member states to introduce the history of European integration into their own national curriculum.
That would be interesting.
And it might also be interesting if there was a little more maybe in the geography lessons about the other European Union countries and their cultures. Last question, I think, is down the bottom there.
Hi, my name is Andri. I work under the Creative Europe Culture Sub-Program. So my question is this. Since the creative and cultural sectors have been proven to be quite profitable, not just in terms of economics, but in terms of politics as well, why is the budget spent for Creative Europe so small? And why is within the so small budget, why there are no initiatives to accommodate the participation of small countries, although we understand that it has to do with fair involvement of all countries, etc., etc. But we do face problems with eligibility criteria. We do face problems with, it's not a problem of motivation, not at all. Yeah. We have excellent proposals being submitted, but the success rate is always going down and it's getting lower and lower because the budget remains the same, but people are more experienced now in preparing the applications and in submitting great ideas. So what's going to happen with that? Is the new culture program going to change at all? Is there going to be an increase?
We decided 3 years ago or 4 years ago, and the Creative Europe financial framework was decided 4 years ago as well. So it's not a very flexible system to react to changing circumstances because, for instance, Creative Europe can play an enormous and very important role in supporting intercultural dialogue or supporting social inclusion and so on and so forth. We are starting to prepare the next financial framework, and I will lobby for more money, but I don't know if I will be successful or not. It's up to the member states.
It's obvious that you could all be here for another hour or more asking questions. Well, all right.
Yeah, because they are in a very disadvantageous position.
That's very true. Yes, we haven't got eyes in the back of our heads, sorry.
Hi, I'm Anna. I would like to...
Although we have different aspects of those histories, and I think we have to promote that mutual belonging or that community. So I would like to see more on that.
So now we really must begin to wrap it up, unfortunately. I asked you at the beginning whether you felt that your voice was being heard in Europe. We've had a lively discussion on so many topics. I don't know how you keep up with all these different aspects of it. Can I just ask everybody in the room to raise your hand if you now feel, after this citizens' dialogue, that your knowledge of the EU has improved? Well, yes, quite a few. A modest improvement, which probably does mean that some of the things that came up about learning in schools about the European Union preparing students in schools for jobs in the European Union, the creative side of things. There were a lot of different things that came out of this, and it does seem that there is some connection among the young people here with the European Union, but that they feel they need more.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
that's a good sign. I think that's...
Navracsics.
Yes, perfect.
Is that right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
we talked about language. How do you say thank you in Hungarian?
Köszönöm. Köszönöm.
Köszönöm, Commissioner.
Okay, you speak Hungarian. Okay.
Thank you very much indeed.
That's perfect. Thank you. You're from Serbia?
We'll have to ask the Commissioner. I'm sure he probably...